Achi. Today topic is solid state, and myself is Dr. U.K. Biswal. I shall detail on the solid state, the first part, that is the classifications of solid. There are different classifications of solid on the basis of different parameters. Let us discuss one by one. First classification on the basis of action towards water. Or affinity towards water, or moisture. On this basis, solids are three types. तीन प्रकार सॉलिड आम पाइबा पानी प्रति तांकर की प्रकार आसक्ति अच्छी से अनुसार आम तीन प्रकार सॉलिड पाई परिबा. गोटे है योर डेलिक्विसेंट, गोटे है हाइग्रोस्कोपिक आ गोटे है एफ्लोरेसेंट. These solids, that is a part of your matter. Three types of matter, as you know. One is solid state, another is liquid state, another is gaseous state. So among this solid, this has greater affinity towards water. That means if we expose this deliquescent solid, then that will convert into liquid or turns into solution. This deliquescent solid, greater affinity towards water or moisture or water vapor. The moisture is absorbed by this solid and converts into solution. Moisture absorbed and the solid dissolves into solution. तमाने ये प्रकार सॉलिड जदि आम बाहर एक्सपोज कर रखीदवा किसी समय पर किसी घंटा पर ताहा सॉल्यूशन ले गोटे द्रवण रे परिवर्तित हो. यार गोटे एग्जांपल होची बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एग्जांपल कॉस्टिक सोडा बट सोडियम हाइड्रोक्साइड. यू रिमेंबर sodium hydroxide is a very good example of deliquescent substance. Sodium hydroxide, you see, if the sodium hydroxide is kept open, that first converts into liquid or turns into solution. But you see there is other reason, then after some time it again converts into a powdered solid, and that is due to other reason you may be knowing later on. That means the sodium hydroxide absorbs carbon dioxide. This is from moisture, but if it absorbs carbon dioxide, this is alkali, carbon dioxide is acid, then it will form sodium carbonate, and that is another solid. So that is not our part. Our part is this. That means sodium hydroxide with moisture, moisture from surrounding or atmosphere. Atmosphere contains, you remember, 0 to 4% moisture. 0 to 4%, depending on the weather conditions. In rainy season it is more, in winter season it is less, but depending on the weather conditions and surrounding condition, sodium hydroxide absorb this moisture and converts into sodium hydroxide aqueous. That means sodium hydroxide solution. That becomes sodium hydroxide solution. Then how it is converted to again into solid, that is a different part. We are not concerning into that. That converts into sodium carbonate. This is another solid. Question might be asked, why sodium hydroxide sometimes after it comes into another solid? That is another part of your question. So, but this is the first part. And then comes hygroscopic. This hygroscopic has less affinity towards moisture. यार पानी अब्जर्विंग क्षमता बहुत कम, यार जिते बेसी अच्छी यार ताठू यथेष्ट कम, अर्थात ये केबेले नेभर टर्न्स इनटू सॉल्यूशन इजीली, नेभर टर्न्स इनटू solution. Such hygroscopic substances you might be come across your home, that is, say it may be liquid, not majorly a solid, but a liquid, say honey. You remember honey, if you kept open for some days, it may convert into liquid, that volume will increase. Another is glycerol. These are liquid form, but if you consider solid, then you take the case of zinc chloride, take the case of calcium oxide, quicklime. Then these are hygroscopic, but not easily converted into solution form. That is why they have less affinity towards water. Then comes, this is opposite, these two are water absorbing substances. These two, deliquescent and hygroscopic are two water absorbing substance. Better you can eat substance, water absorbing substance, because I have given some example of liquid. So that I write it here substance. Solid, if you write down solid, you omit these two, you can put this zinc chloride solid, calcium oxide solid. But efflorescent is opposite to that. When those substances are exposed to the surrounding, or that is spreaded on a paper, if certain substance is kept moistened, and if it is exposed in the substance, water is there, then you spread it. If you spread it, then that will lose your water, and that become efflorescent. That means you see losing moisture or losing water. This will lose water, efflorescent substance, lose water. They are hydrated salt, but they will lose water on exposure. This is a common observation at your home. You can find out if you are washing soda. If washing soda is moistened, generally in the rainy season that becomes moistened. So if you spread on a paper and spread it, keep in a paper and spread it, then on spreading it or on exposure to atmosphere, that will lose water and become dry. It becomes dry. As for example, your sodium carbonate 10 water. Sodium carbonate contains 10 water of crystallization. During process of crystallization, each molecule is associated with the water. So this is called water of crystallization. So these solids, hydrated solids, they lose water on exposure to atmosphere or surrounding. Another example you can take gypsum salt. Your calcium sulfate 2 water, all these are hydrated salts. This calcium sulfate 2 water, this becomes dried or anhydrous. Dried means anhydrous. Calcium sulfate 2 water becomes anhydrous on exposure to water. So that broadly thus we get that certain solids have tendency to absorb water and certain substance have tendency to lose water. So those are absorbing tendency. There are two types. One is deliquescent, another is hygroscopic. So among these two, deliquescent substances have greater tendency to absorb water. विगत क्लास रे आमे सॉलिड रो क्लासिफिकेशन मॉइस्चर प्रति थिबा दृष्टि आमे तीन प्रकार क्लासिफिकेशन कहितलु गोटेला डेलिक्विसेंट दैट हैज ग्रेटर टेंडेंसी टू एब्जॉर्ब मॉइस्चर आ गोटेला ह्यूमिटेंट और हाइग्रोस्कोपी लेस टेंडेंसी टू एब्जॉर्ब मॉइस्चर from the atmosphere, and efflorescent that's opposite to each other, that efflorescent and that lose water. These two will absorb water, and these efflorescent substance they will lose water. The examples also we are given. We have given sodium hydroxide which turns into solution when exposed to atmosphere. Then we are taking hygroscopic substance by humitant, another word is humitant that absorb humidity, that is concentrated sulfuric acid, honey, glycerin. A honey you might be observed at your home. If honey bottle is open, then the volume will gradually increase. Similarly also with glycerin. And calcium oxide is a solid that never turns into solution but can absorb moisture. But these efflorescent substances, as we have discussed, these efflorescent substances are those which on exposure to atmosphere that will lose water and becomes dry, that will lose water. As for example, washing soda, sodium carbonate 10 water, this is called water of crystallization, or this is called decahydrate, sodium carbonate decahydrate. Deca means 10, hydrate means water, decahydrate. This is called dihydrate, di means 2, dihydrate. Calcium sulfate, it is known, the common name is gypsum. In the market you might be knowing gypsum board. Gypsum board is apparently available nowadays. So gypsum, calcium sulfate. So this we have discussed in the previous part. Then next we come to the second type of classification. Second type of classification which based on structure. Structure you might be knowing during your salt analysis in your first year classes. Structure you might be knowing in the salt analysis, you write down name of the salt, crystal of the salt, a structure of the salt, solubility of the salt. During that you perform or determine the structure. That means you take the salt, rub within the 2 fingers, it becomes rough, then you call it a crystalline solid, and if it is smooth like fast powder, then we call it is amorphous solid. So you see, basing on structure, second type of classification. Second type of classification. Based on geometric arrangement or based on structure. The definite structure for the crystalline, not having any structure, geometrical arrangement, that is your amorphous. So you see, on this basis, solids are of 2 types. One is crystalline, another is amorphous. Just like fast powder, very smooth, amorphous. But crystalline, that is rough to touch. If you rub within these 2 fingers, then that will be rough, that is crystalline. That is how you know in your practical class what is a crystalline salt, what is an amorphous salt. Suppose zinc oxide, zinc carbonate, calcium carbonate, that becomes amorphous. But your sodium chloride salt, potassium nitrate salt, all other salts, most of the salts will become in the crystalline form in your practical class. So you see, this crystalline salt also you can divide into 2 types depending on the water of crystallization that it contains. So you see, that is your 2 types. One is hydrates, another is non-hydrates. One is hydrate, another is non-hydrate. Hydrate means that contains water of crystallization. Contains water of crystallization. That means during the process of crystallization, that is a process by which crystals are formed. During the process of crystallization, that some water molecules are associated with the crystal, and that is called water of crystallization. That you know, your common crystal you might be knowing, copper sulfate 5 water pentahydrate, copper sulfate 5 water, and this copper sulfate 5-hydride commonly known as blue vitriol. That looks blue, that is a blue vitriol, and a vitriol comes from, vitriol is your sulfuric acid, oil of vitriol, and as this is a salt of sulfuric acid, copper sulfate, copper salt of sulfuric acid, so that is called blue vitriol. It looks blue, copper sulfate blue vitriol. Similarly, ferrous sulfate 7 water, that is called green vitriol. Green vitriol, that is called green vitriol. It looks green. Ferrous sulfate 7 water. Similarly, zinc sulfate. Zinc sulfate is a zinc is colorless. That zinc sulfate 7 water, that is called white vitriol. So during this discussion, you are coming across 3 types of vitriolic salts which are prepared from sulfuric acid, that is your copper sulfate, ferrous sulfate, zinc sulfate. These are hydrated salt, hydrated salts. As you previously we are giving calcium sulfate, your barium chloride, say dihydrate, you take a chloride salt, barium chloride dihydrate, that is your dihydrate, barium chloride dihydrate. It does not carry any name, specific name, but you can call it the chemical name, it's called barium chloride. So these are hydrates, and there are many innumerable number of non-hydrate salt, as for example sodium chloride, sodium chloride, potassium chloride, your say sodium chloride, potassium sulfate, potassium nitrate, etc. All these chloride salt, sulfate salt, nitrate salt, these are non-hydrate. That means that does not carry any water of crystallization. So anhydrous, you can call it also anhydrous salt, but better you call it non-hydrate because does not carry water of crystallization. These are crystalline. Similarly, amorphous, you take the case of example of calcium carbonate, zinc carbonate, zinc oxide. These are amorphous salts. Understand? So then, basing on the how to distinguish between crystalline and amorphous solids, a question will be asked as a 3-mark question in your class examination or even council examination. A 3-mark question is asked. What is the distinction between, how can you distinguish between crystalline solid and amorphous solid? This is a common question is asked. That means in that, if we narrate in that distinction form, column form, then you can get 3 questions. One question, what are the characteristics of crystalline solid? Another question is what are the characteristics of amorphous solid? These are two mark question. Another 3-mark question may be asked, what is the distinction between amorphous solid and crystalline solid? So if you remember this column form, then you can answer 3 questions. One is your characteristics of crystalline solid, another is your characteristics of amorphous solid, and another is your how can you distinguish between crystalline solid and amorphous solid. So let me discuss you in the column form so that you can answer any type of question what is asked in your council examination. So left hand side you write down crystalline solid, right hand side you write down amorphous solid. So structurally they are different. First distinction you write down geometry. There will be definite geometry. Some is crystalline, some is say cubic, some is rhombic, like that. Definite geometry. That means definite regular arrangement of constituents. Let us write down constituents from which the substance is made up. Constituents, you remember the constituents of crystalline solid may be atom, may be molecule, or may be ions. In chemical world, if particles are to be considered, these are the 3 types of particles. One is atom, which is neutral, another is molecule, that is also neutral, and ions, positively as well as negatively charged. Positively charged are called cations, negatively charged ions are called anions. So these are the constituents taking which you can make a crystal. So geometry, there will be definite arrangement or geometrical arrangement in three-dimensional arrangement of three-dimensional arrangement. All crystals are three-dimensional arrangement. But here is very irregular arrangement. So not definite arrangement, not having definite arrangement of constituents or haphazard arrangement. This is a regular arrangement, this is a irregular arrangement. You can call it irregular or haphazard arrangement. Irregular arrangement. कौन सी निर्दिष्ट प्रकार एटम कि मॉलिक्यूल बा आयन अरेंजमेंट नथिबो क्यूबिक नथिबो रैंडमली अरेंज्ड यू कैन राइट डाउन इरेगुलर अरेंजमेंट और रैंडम अरेंजमेंट एनी वर्ड यू कैन पुट रैंडम arrangement haphazardly arranged or randomly arranged. So there is no having no definite geometry. That means that here is definite geometry, it is not having definite geometry. These are your amorphous solid. Then second you see melting point. If you study the solid melts, your liquid boils, solid melts. So if you study the melting point, it's a very sharp melting point, definite melting point. That means the melting point is 100 degree, means at 100 degrees sharp it will melt, not at 99.9999. So it is a sharp melting point. Take an example. Suppose as for example, sodium chloride solid. Its melting point is 801 degree centigrade. 800 degree centigrade. 801. So it will not melt at 800.99 degree centigrade. It will not melt. So it has a very sharp melting point. But you see, in this case, this is not having all your amorphous solids. You remember, not having sharp melting point, not having definite, there is no definite temperature at which it will melt. It is a wide range of melting point. That means first it softens, naram heijiba, first it softens, then comes into liquid, then melts or comes into liquid. First it is softened. You might be coming across, perhaps that experiment is nowadays not done in your practical class, bending of glass tube. If glass is heated, that is a wide range of temperature. The melting point is wide range. Suppose at one temperature that never converts into liquid, but first it is soft, then on large quantity of heat is given, then only it will melt or turn into liquid. So you remember, glass is an example of amorphous solid which does not have definite or sharp melting point. And by this melting point also you can justify the purity of solid. Suppose which solid is pure and which solid is impure, that you can also justify by this melting point. Suppose a sodium chloride salt melts at 801 degree centigrade, then you can improve that, or you can conclude that sodium chloride is pure one. So purity of solid also can be known from the melting point. So that is not our concern. Our concern is your crystalline solid should have a sharp melting point at a definite temperature that will convert into liquid. That is the melting point. Third, you can cleavage. Suppose if it is cut by a sharp knife, cleavage, you will get a regular or smooth surface. Suppose if it is cut into two halves, then this surface will be a smooth surface. The surface, the two sides will be smooth surface on cutting by a sharp knife. So when cut through a sharp knife, then you will get a smooth surface, but here you will get irregular surface. Irregular surface. Your plastic, your glass, if you cut it, then if you rub it, there will be bleeding. That means that is a rough surface. That is where your finger will bleed. That is the reason why during our time when we perform your glass bending, glass cutting, etc., first we rounden it. That is, rounden means, how can you round it? That means you heat it, the cutting surface, then you press in the asbestos pad, so that get rounded, so that there will you will not any wound on hitting touching that surface. That surface becomes smooth on rounding. But here, just on fresh cut, in case of glass, if it is fresh cut or broken, then there will be a rough surface or irregular surface, because there is no definite arrangement. If there is no definite arrangement, we will get a irregular surface or rough surface. Irregular surface or rough surface. So here you will get smooth surface, here you will get a rough surface. That here you can get the example of graphite. The pencil lead, if you break it, then you take the broken face, you touch it, you will get a smooth surface. That you can also prove where graphite is a crystalline solid, because there is definite arrangement, so you will get a smooth surface. If there is irregular arrangement, you will get a rough surface. So on cleavage we get rough surface and smooth surface. Then fourth you get symmetry. There will be symmetry in the crystal. Crystal exhibits symmetry. Crystal exhibits symmetry. Symmetry you will be knowing in higher classes. There are different types of symmetry, like plane of symmetry, your center of symmetry, axis of symmetry. As for example, axis of symmetry, your plane of symmetry. You will be knowing later in your higher classes, plane of symmetry. Two halves. We ourselves is a symmetrical body, because if you cut from the your middle, then this part will be almost identical to this part. So in that case, we are also a symmetrical body. So any body or any substance will have certain symmetry. So also crystal also shows symmetry. The types of symmetry what we will be doing later on, that is your axis of symmetry, plane of symmetry, another is the center of symmetry. Center of symmetry. That means my aim is to tell you, that means the crystalline solids are symmetrical. Crystalline solids are symmetrical. But as there is no regular arrangement, no regular three-dimensional arrangement, does not possess symmetry, but does not have symmetry. Because there are so randomly arrangement, you will not find symmetry in the arrangement of your amorphous solids. Then another most important thing that you come across, that is isotropy and anisotropy. That is also a question is asked as a 1 mark question also. Isotropy and anisotropy. Crystalline substance are anisotropy. Anisotropy and isotropy. Don't write down anisotropy. You anisotropy, you close it. So that is a negative sense. But if you write down anisotropy, that is a positive sense. So you write it like this, anisotropy, that means negative of isotropy. So what is isotropy? Let me see you. Then you see this crystalline side having definite geometry. So remember that these are anisotropic. Anisotropic. And these are isotropic. This means anisotropic means these are three-dimensional, so having three axes. Axis plural is AX, ES. axis is singular, x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, but if you consider in a 2 or 3 at a 2 at a time, this is axis. Axis plural will be ax, es, axis. So if if you study any physical property or a mechanical property, that will differ in different directions. Suppose if you study the velocity of light or refractive index, so in the x direction we will be varying from y direction, varying from z direction, and there will be a resultant velocity. Suppose this is v, say, so resultant will be this square plus this square, this square in the vector you might be knowing. So this is anisotropic, means they differ, the property differ. Suppose the mechanical property, suppose you apply load, if you load in one direction, that will be resolved into two components, and their load will not be same, Young's modulus etc., that will also differ. So you can think that the physical and mechanical properties vary in different direction. In 3D there are 3 directions, x, y, z directions perpendicular to each other. So in the 3 directions the property will vary, but here you see, but in the isotropic there is no definite arrangement. So in the isotropic, if you measure in any direction, x, y, in any direction, because there is no definite direction is there. So if you arrange in any direction, the properties is same. The properties are same in all possible directions, in all directions. So these are isotropic. So by this also you can distinguish. This is a way you have to experiment, but in other cases, melting point etc., they are simply by cutting, simply by rubbing, you can know which one is crystalline and which one is amorphous. But these have to give we have to undergo certain experiment if you study isotropy or anisotropy. So a question may, 1 mark question may be asked, why amorphous solids are isotropic? Question is 1 mark question may be asked. So that is due to the fact that there is no definite arrangement. There is no definite geometric arrangement. As a result, in all possible directions, the amorphous solids are what? Are giving same physical and physical and mechanical properties. Understand? This is our isotropic property of amorphous solids. So this is one type of classification basing on structure or arrangement, geometric arrangement. We are getting 2 types of solids. One is crystalline solid, another is amorphous solid. Understand? So this is one type of classification from which you will be getting a sure question, what is the distinction between crystalline solid, amorphous solid, or what are the characteristics of crystalline solid, or what are the characteristics of amorphous solid. Now you come across 3 questions. 2 are 2 mark questions, another is 3 mark question. So this question may be asked, if it is asked from solid state, you will get any question, you will getting a sure question of this type. Then another type of classification based on force, valency force or the bonding force. Third type of classification. Classification 3. Third type of classification, that is the bonding pattern or nature of constituent, whether it is the ions, whether it is the molecular atom, nature of constituent. Bonding pattern or nature of constituent. There are 4 types of solids. So in this case, if you classify the first type, you can come across ionic solid. It is very interesting that in every day, whenever you take your meal, lunch or dinner, you think of this sodium chloride, common salt. Common salt is an example of ionic solid. So ionic solid, here the constituent are, remember, these are ions. Constituents are ions, that means cations and anions. As for example, sodium chloride, instead of writing sodium chloride like this in the crystalline form, if a crystalline sodium chloride is asked, better you can write it like this. Better we can write it like this, but because sodium chloride does not contain sodium chloride molecule, there will be arrangement of sodium ions, the cations, and chloride and then anions. There are cubic arrangement. So sodium chloride, that is an ionic solid. Similar also potassium chloride, potassium bromide, etc. There are many solids which are having constituting of ions. These are called what? These are called ionic solids. Ionic solids. Remember some property you can remember. These are having high melting point because they are held by strong interionic force of attraction. Suppose if you are asked why ionic solids are high melting point, one more question may be asked, that but if different solids are given, if it is asked which one of the following having higher melting point, then the multiple choice question you might be asked, and in that case you can put your pen towards the ionic solid, and remember ionic solids are having high melting point. This is one property. Another property is they are brittle. If they are broken, they cannot be plated, they can be converted into plate, they cannot be converted into wire, but they can be converted very small particles or small cubes, that is called brittleness, just like glass, brittle, bhangura, that is brittle. High melting point, boiling point also high, then brittle. And you see they are soluble in polar solvents, polar solvent of high dielectric constant. You might be knowing in the bonding pattern in your 11th class of high dielectric constant. Soluble in polar solvent. Suppose the question is asked, why sodium chloride is soluble in water but not in kerosene, not in alcohol? If it is asked, then you can answer like this, because the sodium ion, water is a polar molecule. Water is a polar molecule having one end delta minus, another end delta plus, and this is plus. That plus and this is a dipole, that is a force come into play, that is called ion dipole attraction. Ion dipole attraction. Ion, this is ion is a solute, this dipole is a solvent, and a substance dissolve when there is a solute solvent attraction. If the solute solvent attraction is there, then the substance is soluble. So the solubility of sodium chloride is due to this. Then conductivity, thermal as well as electrical. The thermal and this conductivity is nil conductivity. They are having not conducting, but non-conductor. Non-conductor in solid. Sodium chloride does not conduct electricity in solid state, but it conducts in solution. And in molten state. तरल करदेले मध्य that will conduct electricity. एवं पानी रे पकेदेले मध्य that will also conduct electricity in solution and in molten state. Fused state, molten state. तरलीकृत अवस्था रे सोडियम क्लोराइड इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कंडक्ट करे. तार जदि कारण पचरा जाए, why sodium chloride conduct electricity in solution? If this question is asked, then you call it the sodium chloride plus minus plus water, you will get sodium ion aqueous. This is called solvated or hydrated sodium ion plus hydrated chloride ion aqueous water. So you see, by this they will separate each other. As a result, they can move freely. But in the solid state, the ions are strongly held by interionic force of attraction, and this attraction is loosened by this water, so that you will get free ions, and free ions can move. Sodium ion is the cation that will move towards cathode, and chloride ion is the anion move towards anode on passage of electricity. So, if you on that is why these are called electrolytes. These ionic solids, you remember, these are called electrolytes. Electrolytes are those substances which conduct electricity either in solution or in molten state. So, this is the ionic solid. This is regarding the ionic solid, and these are very hard. These are very hard also. Then next comes covalent solid. So, remember, in the ionic solid, the constituents or the making parameters are the ions. You will not find molecule, you will not find radical, but you will find what? Ions in the ionic solid. Then second is covalent solid. Covalent solid. In the covalent solid, the constituent, you remember, your 1 mark question when we asked, in the covalent solid, the constituents are dash, 1 mark question. In the group A, in the covalent solids, you see the constituents are atoms. Remember, the constituents are atoms. And what is the bond? As in that case of ionic bond, they are held by covalent force. Covalent force. And that give you giant structure. That give you giant structure. Very great arrangement of your atoms, giant structure. As for example, you take the case of diamond. There is a arrangement of carbon atoms. Diamond consists of carbon atoms held by covalent bond, and the bonds are tetrahedrally arranged. The bonds are tetrahedrally arranged. That means each carbon atom is strongly held. This bond strength is very high. The strongly held, that is why this is very hard. The bond strength strongly are attached to 4 carbon atoms at a time. So, remember, in the diamond, each carbon is attached to 4 carbon atoms simultaneously by tetrahedrally. This is called tetrahedral arrangement. Tetrahedral arrangement. And here a hybridization takes place, you remember, in your 11th class. That means sp3 hybridization. sp3 hybridization. That means all the unpaired electrons are involved in the bonding. There is no free electron, so it does not conduct electricity. So, remember, in the covalent solids they are less soluble, and they are soluble in non-polar solvents, and their solubility is much less, and they are also non-conductor of heat and electricity. They are non-conductor. Remember, covalent solids are non-conductor. But one exception is there. The exception you remember, that is a graphite. Graphite is an allotrope of carbon. There are three crystalline allotropes. One is diamond, another is graphite, another is fullerene. The newly developed your allotrope, that is fullerene, carbon 60. All these are your crystalline solid and held by your covalent solid. These are covalent solid, and they only graphite conducts electricity due to difference in the bonding. Here you see, here it is sp2 hybridization. Remember, graphite there is sp2 hybridization, but diamond that is sp3 hybridization. That means here 4 bonds, but in the graphite here each carbon is attached to simultaneously 3 carbon atoms in the form of an hexagon. You will be knowing in the group 14 will be taught you detail. So, you see these are the hexagons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hexagons, and each carbon is attached to 3 carbon atoms simultaneously, because it is sp2 hybridization. You go thorough in hybridization. So, sp2 hybridization having 4 electrons in carbon in excited state, we get 4 electrons, that is why carbon is tetravalent. Then you see, and sp2 hybridization, and you see there is a free electron, and this electron is delocalized, so that on when electricity is applied, that movement of electron conducts what? Electricity. So remember, your graphite is an electronic conductor. Here electron is responsible for conduction, but your ionic solid, if that conduct, electrolyte conducts, here the responsible who conducts electricity, in that case ions conduct electricity. So there is two difference. One you see electrolytic conductor, this is your electronic conductor, just like metals. Also graphite, the electron is responsible for conduction of electricity. And why, if you are asked why graphite conduct electricity, that is a non-metal, but it conducts electricity. The reason is this. So among the non-metals, if you are asked which conduct electricity, you can call it the graphite crystal. And this is, remember, that is an example of covalent solid, covalent crystalline solid. Then comes another type of bonding, that is on metallic bonding, and the A, B, C is your metals or metallic solids. Metallic solids where the constituents are atoms, but you can call it kernels. Kernels with a bed of electron or with a sea of electrons. There is large number of delocalized electrons, and in that sea of electrons or bed of electron, bed of electron, गोटे इलेक्ट्रॉन बेड रे इलेक्ट्रॉन सज्जा रे किए सुईच देख ये अनंत सज्जा रे विष्णु शुई ना ये शुईचंती किए ना कर्नेल मिलिटारी कर्नेल नुहंती ये कर्नेल्स मीन्स पार्ट ऑफ एटम without electron, part of electron, that suppose sodium ion, that is a kernel. So the question is, sodium metal consists of what? Sodium kernels, and these sodium kernels, how they held together? There may be question, this is positive charge, this is positive charge, this is also positive charge, there might be repulsion, but how they come together to form your sodium metal? And that is due to the delocalized electrons or loosely held electrons. Metals have very low ionization potential, that means they are electron giving tendency. So these electrons are very loosely held, and this electron does not belong to this electron does not belong to this, but they are delocalized. You cannot restrict one electron to one kernel. They are spread over. In a bed of what? Kernels. So kernels are within a sea of what? Sea of electrons. And these delocalized electrons, suppose if you are asked why they are delocalized, because they are loosely held. Why they are loosely held? Because they have low ionization energy. Understand? So that is why the metals are electropositive. That means they have tendency to give you loose electrons, ढीला इलेक्ट्रॉन से निजता मन खुश रे बुली पारिबो ता कई रेस्ट्रिक्ट करिवनी ये ताकू टाणी धरिवनी सी ताकू टाणी धरिवनी से मन खुश रे केते डिलुकालाइज रही कि बुली पारिबो जहाँ फले ऑल कैटायंस आर हेल्ड टुगेदर. दिस इज ए मॉडल इज देयर दैट इज कॉल्ड इलेक्ट्रॉन गैस मॉडल. नाउ दिस मॉडल इज ऑब्सोलेट. Now presently the model is band theory or molecular orbital theory, etc. are developed, but you remember this is a very primary model, that is called electron gas model. Very interesting, electron gas model. That means the electrons almost behave like gas, as gases are moving from one part to another loosely and very mobile. Gases are mobile, so also electron. So that is the model is called as electron gas model. What is gas? Here electrons are compared to the gas, delocalized, and that delocalized electrons held these kernels. So this is metallic solid. this metallic bond. Then another is molecular solid. Molecular solid. Remember these type of solids you come across. Molecular solid, you remember, here the constituents are molecules, not ions, not metals, not kernels, not your atoms, but molecules, neutral molecules, neutral molecules. So molecular solids, neutral molecules, and they are very loosely held, they are very soft, very low melting point and boiling point, and soft, they are very soft, very soft, low melting point, soft, and these are molecular solids, and you see easily converted into liquid. Molecules, they are consists of molecules, and the force, you see bond, what is the bond present in between very weak bonds. The bond, you can call it, that may not be a bond but a force of attraction, that is called van der Waals force. Van der Waals force. In the van der Waals, you remember the V is small and W is capital. So van der Waals force. So this van der Waals weak force between molecule and molecule. And another is another type of dipole force that may be held by weak dipole force. There I am considering ion dipole force. There I am considering in the ionic solid ionic force, interionic force. Ion dipole force we are considering sodium chloride when dissolved in water. So in these cases I am considering, you see there are three types of forces I have already considered. One is ionic force, another is ion dipole force, and this is here I am considering dipole force. And an interesting example of dipole force, you can call it hydrogen bonded molecules. Hydrogen bond. Hydrogen bond is a special case of what? Dipole force, and that you can call it hydrogen bond because the molecule contains hydrogen and most electronegative atom. As for example, I give you a solid example, that is your ice. Very interesting examples of solid. The solid part of water. Water can exhibit in three phases. One is solid ice, another is liquid water, and another is your vapor. So you see this gaseous state. So here water, you see the water is there closely packed by hydrogen bond, because you know this is your delta plus delta minus, this is your delta plus delta minus. So this is a dipole, this is a dipole, this is a dipole. So it is called a dipole force, and it is called hydrogen bond because hydrogen is involved. Had it not there been hydrogen, you can call it a dipole force. Dipole force. So you see, dipole force, then that is a hydrogen bond. Similarly, this oxygen, this hydrogen. Similarly, this oxygen, this hydrogen. This oxygen, this hydrogen. So there will be a close arrangement of water molecules. As a result, you will get ice, which is solid. Ice which is solid. So ice having, suppose ice is, though this is a solid but floats over water. It is a solid but never drowns, but it floats over water. That is due to formation of this cage, gumpha. So phanka jaga srushti heba phalore cage formation, there volume increases, mass remaining same. If volume increases, the density decreases. As density decreases, so ice floats over water. So that question is asked in your 11th class. The reason is why ice floats over water, question is asked. The question answer will be like this: due to hydrogen bond or dipole force. And this is a molecular solid. Similarly, phenol. Phenol is also an example of phenols, nitrophenols, etc. These are also examples of and your camphor. Here simple example you can take iodine. Iodine, one iodine molecule held by another iodine molecule, that is not dipole force because this is nonpolar, and nonpolar molecules means that must be the force that operate, that is called van der Waals force. So van der Waals force, that is why iodine, though that is a crystalline solid, but it is what? It is a very having low melting point. Understand? So this is now let us give the synopsis of all that we have discussed in this two sitting of this class arrangements. So we are discussing the classification of solid. We are discussing classification of solid. There are three types of classification what we have already discussed. So one is with affinity towards water, that we have discussed. One is your deliquescent, another is hygroscopic, another is reflorescent, that we have discussed. This is one type of classification. In the second type of classification, depending on the arrangement of the constituents, but geometry of the constituents, we are discussing two types of crystals. One is crystalline solid, another is your amorphous solid, two types of solids. Then another type of, depending on the nature of bonding or nature of particles, nature of bonding, we are discussing your four types of crystals. One is your ionic solid, four types of crystalline solid, ionic solid, your then your covalent solid, very giant arrangement of atoms, and metallic solid, that is also having high, this is also, you can write it here also, they have high melting point, conductivity of both what? Heat and electricity, because these mobile electrons also responsible for what? For your conduction, understand? So that is also having high melting point. And another is your molecular solid, where the constituents are molecules and held by very weak force, that is your van der Waals force or dipole force. This is what we have discussed today in two sessions, in two different sessions, and next class we shall discuss the another second part of this solid, that is how the defects in the solid, mostly we shall discuss the defects of the solid in the next class. बंद कर दिया बजा सो